So did you?
Welcome everyone. On behalf of Dimensions in Travel, thank you for joining us for our journey to Iceland. We are very excited to take you to the land of fire and ice today. My name is Diana St. James, and I am one of the owners of Dimensions in Travel, along with Jill Romano. Safe travel is coming back, and I am delighted to be able to share that. We see it every day in the inquiries and the bookings that we're getting. These virtual events used to be a way for us to keep the spirit of travel alive, and now we are finding they are a great way for you to get ideas for where you want to go next and where you want to go soon. People are traveling again, and we are standing by here ready to make your travel dreams a reality. But before we get started, I do want to remind you of a couple of things. One is that we are recording this. We always record all of our events, and you can find the link to past events on our website, and I'll be emailing you the link as well. You are in listen only mode, so there are, the cameras are off and the microphones are off. We find it gives us more bandwidth for our presentations, and it also minimizes distractions. And finally, if you've got a question, post it in the chat box at the bottom of your screen. We'll be monitoring it during the presentation and answering them there if we can. Otherwise, we'll take questions at the end. So, back to Iceland. It is time to dust off your passports. And in fact, I got out my passport for doing this, and it was actually dusty. So it is time to dust off our passports and get ready to go places. Iceland is open to vaccinated Americans, and it is very popular these days. I've been there twice, once in the spring and then again to witness the Northern Lights, and I loved it. It's a fascinating country, strangely beautiful. When you land at Keflavik Airport, all around you is this black lava covered with this almost lime green moss. It looks like you're on another planet. And then the rest of the country is filled with hot springs and geysers and waterfalls, ice caves, volcanoes, glaciers, millions of puffin birds, these shaggy little ponies, and of course the Northern Lights. While a lot of people do like to plan a custom trip when they go to Iceland, we are finding that many of the companies that plan these custom land trips are extremely busy right now. So when we realize that Crystal Cruises has some wonderful itineraries, they have 6 10-night sailings that are going to Iceland July, August, and September this year. And there is availability, limited availability, and it's a perfect way to get you to Iceland now very easily. So, but before we dive into Iceland, I'd like to introduce my business partner and agency co-owner, Jill Romano, and she's going to introduce our wonderful guests from Crystal Cruises. Hi, Jill.
Hi, Diana. Thank you so much and welcome everyone. It is my absolute delight and pleasure today to introduce you all to Diane Murphy-Dunn, the Strategic Business Development Manager with Crystal Cruise Lines. She will be joined today by Claudius Dosakal, my apologies, Vice President of Itinerary Planning, along with Anita Hodson, Director of Port Planning. So we are in for a real treat with these two on board. Diane is a longtime veteran of the travel industry, since starting with what we all know as TWA, Trans World Airlines, as a freshman at university and continuing through graduate school, eventually going into outside sales in the San Francisco Bay Area, where she started working with our agency, Dimensions in Travel, from our earliest days. Diane's knowledge of Crystal Cruise Lines, combined with her personal travel experiences, continue to be a vital partnership for our agency. She has been with Crystal for 26 years, calling on travel advisors in Northern California and the Pacific Northwest. Diane says she is happiest when she is walking around the Crystal Promenade deck on the open ocean with a cafe mocha in hand, working off the calories as I drink them, she says. So today, Diane, Claudius, and Anita, we are so looking forward to our journey to Iceland with Crystal Cruises. Go ahead and take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jill. And I just want to say what a pleasure it is to be working with Dimensions in Travel. I've known these ladies for such a long time, and they're true professionals, and they've always been just phenomenal to work with. And we really appreciate the opportunity to present to you all today our wonderful new Iceland program. So here you met the three of us already. I wanted to talk just a few minutes for those of you who aren't familiar with Crystal. When I started with Crystal, we just had ocean ships. We had 2 of them. And then 5 years ago, with new owners, we actually acquired 5 river ships and a yacht. And obviously, we're now acquiring a very exciting new expedition ship. But in 2019, I think that's the last year we had normal travel, if there's such a thing as normal. We were very excited because Crystal won World's Best from Condé Nast Traveler readers in all 3, ocean, river, and yacht. So we were very excited about that. And that's the readers actually of these magazines. So it's the people who actually travel. Crystal has consistently won great awards, and Condé Nast Traveler, we've actually won 26 years in a row, World's Best for medium-sized cruise lines, and Travel and Leisure 23 years. So, and honestly, I think the thing that Crystal is known the most for, we have beautiful ships, but we have phenomenal crew. Our senior vice president likes to call our crew our secret sauce. So anyway, it's a pleasure to be with you here today. Things have changed a bit in the last 14 months. I guess that's kind of a gross understatement. But we wanted you to know before we get started that Crystal is very well aware of keeping everybody safe and healthy. I think Crystal's health and safety protocols have always been stricter than what the CDC requires before we ever had the CDC requiring. I remember dates when I was doing ship tours and the health department would come on and do a surprise inspection, and we would sometimes get 100% in our galley. No cruise line gets 100%, so it was very unusual. We maintained very strict standards. None of our ships, ocean, river, or yacht, had any cases of COVID, and we were sailing until mid-March of 2020. So we do have a COVID-19 vaccine requirement for all guests if they want to cruise on Crystal. We were the first in the industry to do this because we want to make sure everyone can sail safely. It is no longer now a requirement to get a negative PCR test prior to cruising because all of our guests are now vaccinated. So, and one of the things we're really excited about, because they are our secret sauce, is that 95% of our crew are returning to our ships sailing this summer. We have a few things coming. We're concentrating on Iceland today, but we have the Bahamas with Crystal Serenity starting in July. We have the Caribbean with Crystal Symphony starting in August, and then this wonderful Crystal Endeavor starting in late July as well. So we're very excited to get back to sailing and doing what we all love best. And I'm so appreciative of Anita and Claudius helping out today. I've been in the business for a long time, but I haven't been to Iceland. So it's great. And Anita's originally from New Zealand, so she has that wonderful Kiwi accent, which is great at pronouncing the Iceland ports. And Claudius is actually our vice president in charge of planning itineraries. So he's been everywhere and he knows so much more about these ports. So I'm very appreciative that they're with us here today. And I think we'll just get started. First, I do want to mention that the Crystal Endeavor is brand new. We were just talking about her before we started, and she is now virtually finished, other than just doing some things in the interior. So she's had her second float out. The owners have been able to see her and say she was terrific. And we're very excited to get this brand new ocean ship. It's kind of fun to have an upper with what everyone's been through in the last 14 or 15 months. So Crystal Endeavor is only 200 guests and it's 200 crew. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. And she is DC6 compliant, meaning she doesn't really need to drop an anchor anywhere because these are very pristine waters we're going into. So we're very excited to have her on joining our fleet. And we're very excited to go into Iceland. I think it was one of those places we could get into because there weren't the problems with COVID, and the Iceland people have just been wonderful to work with. So I want to talk a little bit about Endeavor here. I have to laugh because this is my favorite shot of Endeavour. It's a mudroom, and we have 2 of these on board. And I live in the country, and I have a mudroom that's about 4x4, and it's kind of muddy, and it's got boots and things like that. This is actually a mudroom for parkas when people go on expeditions and come back and they need to dry their shoes and leave their parkas. And we have 2 that look like this, and it's just nothing like any mudroom that I've ever seen, but it really says something about what the Endeavour is going to be all about. And there's the waterside, which is our main dining room on board. All of our dining rooms on our ocean and river ships are called waterside. So, and there you go is a shot of the Crystal Promenade. And Prego, our wonderful Italian restaurant. And there's Umi Uma. We have a Nobu restaurant on our ships, and this is actually our Nobu restaurant. Other than our yacht, we have a Nobu restaurant, actually ocean ship and expedition. So our ocean and expedition ships, we have a Nobu restaurant. There's the Connoisseurs Club. If people want to smoke a cigar or a pipe, it's the only place on board you're going to be able to smoke a cigar. And it's also brandy after dinner and things like that. So there's the Crystal Cove, one of our wonderful gathering places for drinks before dinner. And there's a solarium. I love this because there's going to be a lot of times when Crystal Endeavour is in quite cool environments, but you still want to be able to look outside. And with all those wonderful windows and that great lighting, it's just going to be spectacular. And a few other things, the Crystal Spa up in the corner, the sauna on the right up in the corner, fitness, the gym, and also the relaxation area in the spa. And Bistro Cafe and Bistro Buffet. We have a bistro on our ocean ships, river ships, and now Crystal Endeavour as well. And the lounges. I love all the various lounges. We do have a helicopter lounge. We won't be operating the helicopters in Iceland. However, we will, when we get down into Antarctica, we will be having helicopters on board as well. So wonderful lounges. And here is Palm Court. We have a Palm Court on our river ships, our ocean ships, and now Endeavour as well. Another wonderful place with floor to ceiling windows so you can see out at the fabulous world you're sailing through. So all of the accommodations are going to be butler served. The smallest stateroom is 340 square feet. And we have an owner's suite, an expedition suite, 8 penthouse suites, and 90 deluxe suites. So she's going to be just a spectacular ship and sailing in a spectacular place to begin with. So I'm going to let Anita take over with Iceland because she's so much better about it than I am, so much better with it than I am. So take it away, Anita.
Well, thank you so much, Diane, and welcome everyone. Thank you for coming and joining us today. Claudius and I, we're pretty proud of these itineraries. They're pretty special. They're very in-depth. If you haven't been to Iceland before, or even if you have, you may not have been to all of the places that the Endeavour is going to be going to. And the first slide just says basically why Iceland. And, you know, there's quite a big list of why Iceland. We're going to be there at the peak time, summer, which is just a beautiful time to be there. The weather is, well, it still can be quite cold, but it depends on the day. When I was there, I was just there in 2019. It was pretty much sunny skies every day, but you do need to bring a jacket just in case. There's peak whale migrations, puffins everywhere. You can cross the Arctic Circle as well. When we go to Grimsey Island, I'm going to show you the itinerary so we can get more into specifics. There's absolutely gorgeous waterfalls everywhere. So we're moving on to the next slide, I see. So can we go back to the, oops.
Sorry, you want to go to the map?
I can try. This is a good overview of the itinerary. So you can see that we actually circumnavigate the whole of Iceland. So we start in Reykjavik and we end up in Reykjavik. And if you look on the left side, we do a lot of scenic cruising in the fjords, western fjords, which is just breathtaking. And again, as I mentioned, the Arctic Circle, we go up to the Arctic Circle on this cruise. So if you move on to the next slide now. this is just an image of Reykjavik. We're actually going to be docked right in town. There's going to be 2 days in Reykjavik. So 2 full days, actually. So if you join the first day, then you've got a second day as well. If you don't notice, that's me in the middle there at the Blue Lagoon with a clay mask on. It's absolutely beautiful. That was the first time I'd ever been there. The whole area around there is just gorgeous. There's a beautiful retreat spa there that has restaurants, and the best wine I tasted was there, actually. It's beautiful, beautiful place. And you can also have access to the famous Golden Circle, which is a 140-mile iconic drive where you can go to the thing. My pronunciation isn't that good. Diane did lie about that.
Oh, but it's so much better than mine.
So you can see the Gullfoss waterfall, the Kerrod crater, the national park and geyser, and then of course the Blue Lagoon. And Claudius, did you want to speak a little bit about the volcano when the guests arrived from into Reykjavik, they possibly could see the volcano?
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Anita. Thanks for joining us. I'm sure some of you may have heard about this latest volcano that has erupted in Iceland, and I think we all know it happens fairly regularly, but this latest one has captured a lot of people's attention and it's been featured in the news. And that volcano is actually on the way. When you look at the map, on the far left side, on that peninsula is the airport in Reykjavik, and bottom left, yeah. And then that a volcano is on the way to Reykjavik, right about there where you have your cursor right now. This is where the new volcano is. You can actually hike to this new volcano. And as Anita mentioned, you will be arriving on the first day in Iceland, and the ship will overnight and then have another full day in Iceland before we sail the next evening. So you can actually go and hike to that volcano. It does take about 3 or 4 hours. It is somewhat strenuous, but you can get quite close to the volcano. So if this is something you're really interested in, we would like to suggest that maybe you want to do that as a pre-cruise, flying to Iceland a day or two earlier, and then that way, when you do that, you can still see the wonderful golden circle, as Anita said, iconic journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudius.
And then after we leave Reykjavik, we head for an expedition stop on Flatty Island, which is a beautiful, very remote, secluded island, which is obviously very flat, as you can see from the picture. Just a very quaint little place to visit. You can hike around the whole island. It's very small, 1.2 miles long. So that would be our first stop, and we have a half day there. Moving on, that same day is actually quite jam-packed, and then we're going to be sailing past the Latrabag cliffs. This is just a sail by, but the next stop you can actually go to the cliffs, so you're actually getting 2 perspectives. You see from below how rugged and beautiful this coastline is, and there's hundreds of thousands of puffins there. It's just immense amount of birds. It's just gorgeous.
Sorry to interrupt you, Anita. I saw there was a question about how the buffet will be handled. The buffet will not be handled as you see in that picture with the birds, okay?
Oh, that's funny. So yes, and then we will move on. Once we've sailed, we'll go to Patricksfjordur, where you can go to the cliffs, and then also Randasandur beach, which is actually very gorgeous, just very different beach. Bright, as you can see, the bright red sand and the black cliffs, and just magnificent. So that is one day, the first day, which is quite jam-packed. And then the next day, we're going to be at Dinjandi Waterfall. We actually are sailing right up the fjord. If you go to the next slide, you'll be able to see the entrance to the fjord. And not many other lines do this. They actually go to Isfjordur, and then they bus people to this waterfall. But we're actually going to be sailing up the fjord. will be on DP there, dynamic positioning, and then guests can go ashore and then hike right up to the waterfall, and it's very spectacular waterfall. Then after we leave there, we'll be going to Vigor Island, which again is a very remote but beautiful island, population 3, as you can see. There's many eider ducks there and puffins. It's just very gorgeous, and light refreshments can be served there. We'll basically sail right up to the island, and then we will zodiac across. And just another beautiful, beautiful scenery, another fjord, beautiful fjord that we sail up. Moving on to Siglifjordur, which is a beautiful little town. As you can see, their population is a little bit bigger than the other stops that we've had, about 1,300 people. This was very big in the herring trade, and there's an amazing museum to go to there. Can't speak highly enough about that museum, and there's a couple of different areas of the museum. There's a local beer brewery, hiking trails, bird watching, there's a folk music center, horseback riding, Frida Artisan Chocolates. It's a beautiful little cafe in town. She makes, she's the local artist and it sells her artwork and makes all this chocolate, which is gorgeous. And then you can kayak and you can also play golf if you want.
Great. I just wanted to throw in, Anita, I think one of the great things about the Endeavour is we're able to go up all of these fjords, which I think regular cruise ships in a lot of cases can't.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and, you know, we're both, in this case, right in town. So you see the SK33, that's part of the Herring Museum. It's really
I think the other thing I'd like to add to that, not only will be sailing up those fjords, which is something that you don't get to do that easily when you do a land trip to Iceland. The other huge advantage with taking our small expedition ship on a circumnavigation of Iceland is that you don't have to change hotels every day or every 2 or 3 days. So you get to keep the same room and everything, the same luxury without packing and unpacking bags all the time. Thank you.
And it's such a nice room.
Yeah, it is. It is. After Siglifjordur, there is an option to go to a bear spa, which is basically en route to Itinerary. And I had the pleasure of enjoying that. And it was enjoyable, very relaxing, I have to say. And also, there's very good whale watching around Akureyri. Akureyri is quite a big town in Iceland terms, 18,000 population. So there's a lot to do from there. It's a gateway to the lake region, and there's many waterfalls and just beautiful nature. And that's a beautiful shot of the town. We're basically docked there. Yeah, thank you. And we also do an overland tour to Hussavik from Akureyri. We arrive in the evening and then you have the day till 1400. So guests who want to do the overland to Hussavik, they don't have to go back and do the same, see the same sites. They'll be picked up in another location. So it's quite an efficient way to see all the sites in this area, and you can do evening golf, and the town is very quaint, and there's some great restaurants as well. People don't want to eat on the ship, but I think eating on the ship is probably going to be people's first choice.
I think, yeah, the beer might be kind of fun on land, but I think Endeavour is going to have spectacular food. So
yes, exactly.
Another little shot of Akureyri.
Yeah, pretty. It's so pretty. Yeah. Moving on. And this is what you'll see on the overland tour to Hussavik. And that's what I was saying. Most ships operate, round trip tours, but you're actually going one way, so you get to see all this beautiful flora and fauna. It's very, very impressive scenery all throughout Iceland, actually. So we actually arrive at Hussavik at 1800 in the evening. So that's where we pick up the tour. But again, a lot of great whale watching in Skalfandi Bay. And again, a quaint town, 2,200 population, and a great whale museum there. geothermal baths, and also another golf course. And, you know, there are also many more other sites as well. We're just listing some of the top ones, but there's so much to do, lots of great hiking in all of these regions. And after that, we're heading up to the Arctic Circle, to Grimsey Island, which only has a population of 100 people, and that's in the summer. In the winter, that pretty much goes down very low. So once we go up there, guests will get a document confirming that they've traveled north of the Arctic Circle. And it's just a very pristine natural island. We can do a Zodiac landing there, and you can actually hike around the whole island in about 4 hours, which is pretty amazing. If you move on to the next slide, you actually see the monument, the round monument there, of where the Arctic Circle crosses, which they actually move when it moves, which it does.
Oh, that's interesting.
Of course, puffins, lots of puffins. Claudius, did you want to speak to
Vopnafjordur, yeah. Thank you, Anita. I think the pictures tell us the whole story. Since this is an expedition cruise and we have these wonderful Zodiacs, and I don't know if everybody's familiar with Zodiacs, but Zodiacs are inflatable rubber boats, basically, that take you from the ship to shore, or in this case of Vopnafjordur, we plan to take these Zodiacs where you actually sit outside in the elements, so it's not like a ship's tender that you may be used to, and we plan to put you into those Zodiacs and bring you around all these stunning cliffs. So you'll be sitting outside. These boats can get very, very close to these cliffs and the shore side, and you can take some absolutely stunning photographs. And if you've never been in a Zodiac, most people will get to like them quite a bit. So hopefully that you'll get multiple times to use these Zodiacs, because they're just a whole lot of fun, because you're out there in the elements. And yeah, I think it's just a wonderful way to be out there in the nature, get the fresh air. You have to dress warm, of course, and you should bring, as Anita said earlier, you should bring some warm clothing. You can check the temperature, of course, online. There's always a chance of rain. And then we highly recommend that you also bring a little backpack. These backpacks are very handy, because when you get in and out of these Zodiacs, you really need to have your hands free, because there will be staff to help you in and out of these Zodiacs. And we have a special grip where you hold each other on like this, and it's very safe. So this is one of the great stops where we can do that. And there will also be some bird watching. We're trying to arrange a trip to a eider down comforter farm, I guess you can call it, where you can see these famous eider ducks that have the softest downs, and you can use in comforters and pillows, and we're trying to arrange that. They are not cheap, I can tell you that, but it's an interesting thing to see. Thank you. Hafnaholmi, another great stop, and the main reason we really stopped there is puffins. It's as it says here, it's considered puffin centrals, and again, we're planning to use these Zodiacs to take you ashore. It'll be a short ride into a tiny little harbor marina, and from there it's a short walk to these steps you see on that image, and you walk up the steps, and then there's sort of a boardwalk on top of that hill, and from the top of the hill you can see all these birds then on the cliffs, their nests, and also actually when you approach this little marina with the Zodiacs, you should see plenty of puffins in the water. They should be flying overhead along with many other seabirds. The only thing is, I suggest when you do look up, keep your mouth closed. Thank you.
Okay, you just reminded me of essential things to bring to Iceland, probably ice skates, because it is, even though it does get slightly dark in the middle of the night, it is pretty much light. So I think sunrise is around 4:30 in the summer, and then 10 o'clock, 10:30. But even after that, it's still kind of, there's a lightness to it. So if you like to be in the dark when you sleep, you need eye shades. Moving on to Setesfjorda, this is a beautiful little town. It's very quaint again, and only 700 residents. Lots of beautiful scenery around, again, sailing up a beautiful fjord. There's a nature reserve, which is home to 80 archaeological sites and 47 species of birds, and it's really is a treat. Waterfalls, the Volk Bath geothermal spa. I visited when they were just building it. It hadn't been open, but it is absolutely breathtaking. And you can do kayaking there. I actually saw my first reindeer, which was pretty spectacular, just out and about driving around. Beautiful views and vistas. Gorgeous, gorgeous place. Yes, moving on to Heme. This was a personal favorite. I got to stay the evening here and explore the island of Heme. Very beautiful again, a lot of history. And one of the highlights actually was the Sea Life Trust, which is actually the world's first beluga whale sanctuary. And actually, when I was there, they were just bringing the whales over. They were rescuing them basically from a SeaWorld in China. And it was the first trip of its kind where they had transported these whales so far. And now they have that, you can see in the background, they're basically there for you to witness. They've got cameras set up underneath, but they've also got a beautiful aquarium there, and you can get up close and personal with puffins and a lot of different fish. Very beautiful island. And then they have the farmhouse ruins dating back to the 9th century. And then also one more highlight, I know we don't have much time, but the Aldehymer Museum, they actually had a very bad volcanic eruption. And they basically built this museum around some of the destroyed houses. And it's just, they've just left the houses how they were affected by these volcanic eruption. And it's just a beautiful museum, very modern, and they've just really done a great job with that. And this is basically the last day. And after we leave here, we sail past Surtsey Island, which is on the next slide, which is actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is one of the newest islands around. It was formed in 1963, would you believe? But already it's home to 70 plant species, numerous insects, seals, and breeding sites. We cannot go there. In fact, no one's allowed to go there except for scientists. But it is very spectacular to sail by and just see this beautiful site. And that's our last day before we actually head to Reykjavik.
I think it's amazing that an island was formed in 1963. It's the first I've heard of one quite that new. It's great.
And actually at the Heme, the Aldehymer, the volcanic museum I was telling you about, they have a lot of stories and imagery and artifacts showing this whole process of the island being created. So it's very interesting.
It sounds like it. It's fascinating. So let's just talk a little bit. Crystal has 5 of these 10-day cruises, round trip Reykjavik. We start on July the 17th. When we released these, and correct me if I'm wrong, Claudius, but I believe we were like 40% sold out in the first probably 48 hours. They did they've done very, very well.
Diane, he had to jump off the call.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I have to jump off. My sincere apologies.
Oh, no problem, Claudius. Don't worry. We're fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've done so remarkably well with these that we do have a little bit of space left, but they've done incredibly well. Crystal is very lucky, and then our crew has really earned it, but we probably have 50% on any one cruise that we have are Crystal Society people. So our Crystal Crystal Society people were so excited to have Endeavor come out. And then I think most people are just excited to get out and travel again and really wanted to go somewhere. And what a fun destination Iceland is for Crystal Endeavor to get her feet wet, so to speak. I think that, you know, she was designed as an expedition ship. We thought she was going to come out last year. Our shipbuilding place in Germany had to close with COVID, and we had to delay having her come out, and we wouldn't have been able to take her anywhere anyway. So it's very exciting to spend the inaugural season in Iceland. And we just added a September 5 10-day cruise that's going to be going from Reykjavik to Tromsø in Norway, going up these fabulous Norwegian fjords. Again, the fjords are just spectacular. And that's, we only released about, I think, 10 days ago. So that's doing quite well also. I think everyone at Crystal is just so excited to be sailing again and being able to welcome our Crystal guests back.
Yeah.
And
That would be a great opportunity to do a
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, did you hear me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. What did you say, Anita?
I was just saying that would be a great combo from Reykjavik all the way to Tromsø. I mean, it's just covering so many bases right there.
And it's all beautiful. It's all kind of spectacular, I think, at this time of year. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So it's a very exciting area of the world to start Endeavor in. It's great. So also, I just wanted to let you all know, we're number one, we very much appreciate everyone joining us today. And if Iceland isn't something that you can do or are wanting to do, we also, because Dimensions in Travel has been such a great travel partner, we also have some specials that we can offer you up to $500 per person discount if there's a place that you want to travel. I don't believe the Iceland cruises qualify for that because they've done so well. But if there's any place else, the Dimensions people will have discounts for you for the next couple of weeks if there's someplace on Crystal you might like to go. And I think, you know, other than that, I don't know, did you take some questions that we might be able to answer?
Thank you, Diane and Anita. That was a great presentation. And it reminded me that I once had a client who wanted to play golf at midnight, and that is possible to do. It looked like in Itinerary, actually.
Yeah.
The Itinerary. And I also remember my father used to make a joke about how do you get down off a dock, and you have a farm where we're going to find out how that happens. So.
Exactly.
Sorry, you had to be there. It was a dad joke. Okay.
I think it's pretty funny, actually.
Okay. All right, Jill, do we have any questions?
We do. Thank you. And, you know, again, fabulous presentation. I wish I could just have my bag packed and leave tomorrow. So I'm going to, Diane and Anita, share sort of the three sort of top questions, and hopefully we have time for some more. So in no order of preference, but however you'd like to answer them. The Aurora Borealis, in terms of, you know, will they see it at this time of year? How the buffet is handled. I know Claudius made a fun joke about that, but we'd like to know how that will be handled. And then also shore excursions, how those are going to be handled while people are traveling. And again, I preface all of this with, this is the information that we have right now. It's an ever-changing world we live in, and things may change, but if you could address those, that would be great.
Well, I
Absolutely.
can speak to the Aurora Borealis. That won't be until the winter months. It's more October, November, December, January, around there. Just so you know, Claudius and I have been discussing that we want to do that in the future for Iceland or Norway or both, because winter cruising is becoming quite popular as well now. So we have that in our mind. But for these ones, these are summer cruises, so we won't see the northern lights. No.
Thanks. You're probably better at that than I am, but I had heard that they were wintertime, so that's great.
Yeah.
The other two other questions: the shore excursions. Crystal Endeavor will include a couple of, probably at least a couple of excursions in each port. There will also be some optional excursions. It is my understanding with Iceland, and as you say, Jill, this can always change. Things change very quickly, that people will be able to get off on their own. Isn't that your understanding, Anita?
Yes.
So they can explore on their own if they'd like to, but there will be optional excursions that people can take if they'd like to. So that, we're pretty much going places, we're trying to go places where it's safe enough that if people want to get off and explore on their own, of course, they have to be vaccinated to go on, Crystal. So we want them to be able to get off and explore if they want to do that. But there will be excursions offered that are included, and there will also be optional excursions.
And all the excursions, sorry to interrupt.
No, go right ahead.
Excursions are on the website. They may be adding some more, but you'll be able to go on our website and you'll be able to
Absolutely. Yeah, you can go on and when you're signed up for the cruise, you can go on and reserve your excursions. So yes, and it's I think you will have quite a bit of freedom. As far as buffet, I'm not sure we're going to even have buffet on Crystal Endeavor because it's such a small guest count. But when we do that on our other ocean ships, there will still be buffets because we have a wonderful buffet breakfast and lunch restaurant, marketplace. And what happens is the crew dishes things for you. The guests will not be dishing anything for themselves, but there will still be wonderful buffet choices. There'll just be a crew member at each selection dishing it for people. So it won't be huge, giant changes. You're just going to probably be waited on even more than normal, but that's the way we're going to be handling buffets.
Great. And now I have, and I hope Sally will be okay with me saying this, a Jeopardy question. Has there been human population on Iceland since the 9th century?
Must have been. Yes, because in
so.
Hemme there's a a house there. Yeah, and
Exactly.
I actually went there, saw it. Yeah.
A wonderful question.
Yeah, it is.
It's great. I've learned about Iceland today too. It's great. I'm
know
ready
a
to
lot
go.
of their legends about the fairies and elves go back to the 9th or 10th century.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't they?
yeah.
Love their fairies and elves. Yeah, but I really can't speak highly enough about Iceland. I mean, I've traveled a lot around the world, but it really is a great country. It has so much to offer, and the people are so warm, and it's just it's just breathtaking. So I hope you can join us.
Absolutely.
Well, I think
Jill, anything else?
those are all the questions that we have for today. Such a thorough presentation. We can't thank you, Diane and Anita, and of course, Claudia, so much for your presentation today. And Diana, any final words?
Yes, if you've got questions about Iceland, whether it's Crystal or some other way you'd like to do it, we'd be happy to help you. If you've got another Crystal itinerary that intrigues you, let us know. But our advisors are eager to chat with you. If you've got an idea and you're ready to travel, we're ready to help. So thank you again, Anita and Diane, and to all of you who've joined us live today. And those of you listening to it by recording, thank you for joining us as well. All right, thanks everyone.
Bye.
Thanks to Dimensions
Bye-bye.
and Travel. Thanks very much.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.